We will call this meeting to order. Roll call, everybody present except for Julie. I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Passes 5-1, 6-1, 6-0, sorry.
I'm like, what?
I was thinking Julie's not here. I was like, come on.
You don't count her until she gets here.
All right, public comments, Family Crisis Center. So as you guys know, Trent had told you guys get 5 minutes and then we'll cut you off, so.
Which is why I have it wrote down, because I could talk about this for hours. So, well, good evening. My name is Kayla, and I'm the Program Director of the Child Advocacy Center at the Family Crisis Center. I wanted to begin by sharing a few statistics, and so that way you can understand why we're so passionate about getting into the schools. So research shows that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys are sexually assaulted or sexually abused by the age of 18. And 93% of those kids know their abusers. 1 in 3 adolescents experience some type of dating violence, and only 9% of those teens will report to somebody. And in Kansas alone, this is from last year, we served 4,133 children, and 3,865 of those children participated in forensic interviews. These numbers only represent the kids that disclose. So what about the ones that are suffering in silence and believe what they're going through is normal because nobody has ever taught them otherwise? Our goal is to partner with schools to help prevent child abuse and to empower children with the knowledge and tools to recognize unsafe situations and what to do if they're in them. I have provided brochures and with outlines of the lessons that we offer and the ages that those would be presented to. And in addition to student programming, we also have trainings for school staff on topics such as mandated reporting, recognizing signs of abuse, human trafficking, and other child safety concerns. Prevention is the #1 tool that we have to fight against child abuse, and we would love the opportunity to partner with your school to help keep kids safe. And the lessons are all free, so that there would be no cost. I have my school and community advocate that would go into the schools. We do elementary and middle, and then we have somebody else that will do the high school. So any questions about lessons we have in here, and I can just leave these here for you guys.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just leave?
Yeah,
You just leave them there. I'll
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
coming.
ladies.
All right. Next, the consent agenda. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Passes. 6-0. Yep. All right. No old business. So we'll go to new business. I'll let you start. Handbooks.
Yep. Handbooks. Joel, you're up. I put your information that you sent to me, just briefly go through your highlights, what you're changing. I did not, you guys probably saw we didn't put the whole handbook, just what they're talking about. He's going to talk probably about that we have a new attendance policy, and that's going to go through all of them. So
Okay.
You'll probably only need to hear that from Joel.
Right.
But we'll let him take it from here.
All right.
Yeah, each building kind of had their own, had differences in the attendance policy, so we're just going to put one attendance policy in that unifies every building, so it's all consistent. So that's one of the ones that's going in its mind. And then the health policy, we made a few small changes to health policy, and it's also going to read the same in all buildings.
Yeah,
so that was the main
and
reason.
they already approved that last month. They
Okay.
talked about what those 2 changes were.
So that was the main reason for that change as well. Other than that, there's we made quite a few changes a few years ago, I guess. And so, we put in the new discipline policy a couple years ago, target policy, all that kind of stuff. So we did big revamping a couple years ago. So really, those are the only changes I have is just, changing our policies to match all buildings. So.
The one other thing that probably all of them will do is that as we get through the cell phone, the law policy change, anything applicable, they'll go ahead and add that to their policy after the fact, just so once you approve that, they'll put that in their
We decided
handbooks.
we approve that next month, right?
Yeah, you could do it tonight, but I'm assuming we'll discuss tonight.
Yeah.
Act on it next month.
Yeah. So that'd be the other change.
All right.
So one thing I did notice, it's not in the handbook, but school supply wise will be adjusting to make sure that it says we have to have corded head hounds. So, sorry,
Yeah.
Michael, that's for your class. Oh.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You want to?
Yeah, we'll do those individually.
All right. I move to approve the high school handbook changes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Perfect.
All right. We'll go with Catherine next.
Alrighty, so other than the approved health policy, attendance policy, like Joel said, was going to be the same across all buildings, and then the health policy you guys approved last month, and any changes to the cell phone policy. The other thing that we were going to add was just some verbiage for our after school program. One thing that we ran into this year was that we were getting pushback because it wasn't in policy anywhere for kids to go to an after school, the after school help program. So in the notes I shared with you guys, under academic accountability, it's highlighted in red. I'm assuming Mr. Horn shared that with everyone.
It's uploaded. They have it.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So in the red is just stating that students will be assigned the after school help if they're missing 3 or more assignments until those are turned in, and that we would notify parents the Friday or the end of the week before of the after homework help assignments.
Any questions on the middle school handbook? All right. I will move to approve the middle school handbook changes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Oh, yeah, same note, Catherine, on the school supplies per the cell phone policy and the state statute.
Yep, that's already been updated.
Sweet.
Lincoln updates. We took out the vehicle idling policy, ran it by Mr. Horn. He said probably don't need it anymore. Also took out, we don't have the students do a social emotional screener. The only thing that we do is a trusted adult screen where we talk to the kids about having somebody in the building to connect with. And then I updated my attendance and health.
Any questions for Lincoln?
Any pushback on the 4th and 5th grade not taking Chromebooks home? I'm assuming not.
Not a word.
Perfect.
All right. I move to approve the Lincoln Elementary School handbook changes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
And that
Same note on
update.
headphones.
And that note. Yep.
So, that darn state statute.
You're up.
Gonna say yours from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just changed the attendance policy, like over the building, added the little health policy change. I did question something about lunches. Mr. Horn and I talked about that, so we kept it as is. And then of course, just like as staff changes, that will change as we get those changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Any questions for Roosevelt? All right. I move to approve the Roosevelt student handbook as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Next page. Yep.
The wellness policy.
Yeah, so Stacy looked at it, and there were no changes to it, so it's just same as it was last year.
And the cardiac emergency response
That'll be
plan,
the same thing. We'll go ahead and approve them, but there's no changes to either one of them.
So you want us to go ahead and make a motion to approve
Yeah,
them?
go ahead.
All right, I make a motion to approve the wellness policy and the cardiac emergency response plan with no changes.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Got to do that one on the fly. I missed them.
All right, non-resident student applications.
Okay, those the list should be on there for you. I believe there's 13 names on there. The principals screened all of those, so they are bringing those to you for your recommendation, or as their recommendation for your approval.
And no students that, we didn't have any quotas that exceeded students or anything like that. Perfect. Awesome. Great work projecting.
All right, I move to approve the non-resident student list as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. All right, the bus rental agreement.
Okay, so I think I wrote a little bit about that in Friday notes. I also gave you some information there. A week or so ago, we had the bus, one of the buses was used for something, and Diane, there's a bus rental agreement that they've been using for that, but all it really records is basically who's renting it, where are they going, what's the mileage, and the time the bus driver spends. So we can give them the bill for that. It was the first time I'd seen that form and thought, well, this probably needs a little more to it. So I put together a form and sent that to Don Rye for his review to see what he thought. And as I indicated, he did raise a couple of questions, made a couple of recommendations for some changes, and then told me that we might want to check with our insurance company just to make sure that what their thoughts were on that. And that's why we're now having this conversation tonight, more than just the agreement, because I don't even have that to present to you at this time, because if that's a direction you still would like to go, renting the bus, which they strongly discourage, they would really prefer you not do that because of the additional liabilities concerns that it places upon the district. Then we'd need to get an agreement put together and then send on to them for additional feedback and potential approval. I gave you some information there. It doesn't necessarily mean that our rates or our insurance premiums may go up. They didn't specifically say that, and they didn't specifically say there's an exclusion either, but just some things you probably want to be considerate of, that who knows what the future might brings if you continue. So certainly worth a conversation to get your guys' feedback. The rec uses it more than anybody, of course. Then GPS also rents the bus weekly in the summer for field trips. So right on there is just a list of some of the things for the month of June. I mean, they're kind of the same activities for the month of July for the rec, other than they may go to different locations. And then obviously the rec uses it throughout the year to go to certain activities. So,
Do we have signed agreements in place already for the activities in June?
we probably have them for all summer.
Okay, I was gonna say, I would hate to leave programs that just started today in a lurch by telling them, especially if they have an existing agreement in place. So
Yeah, that's what we talked about. That's why we're not gonna make an action on it tonight.
Okay,
We just
perfect.
wanna have
That's
a
what I was
discussion.
like. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. I was like, I don't want to leave anybody in a lurch that already thinks they have a signed agreement
no,
and
we
stuff lined
discussed
up.
that. We wanted to have the discussion and then we'll act on it later. So
Well, and see what direction you want me to go.
Yeah.
I mean, could potentially act if you don't want to allow the buses, but you could also to be rented. But really, I need some direction so I just know where we're heading.
Is the rec commission, what did they say specifically about the rec commission, since it's a district affiliated organization?
they're not.
They would tell you rent it to no one.
Is that just because that makes, I'll ask the devil's advocate, is it just 'cause if there's not an exclusion in place, are they denying claims for these types of rentals? Because just because it's a recommendation, if there's no exclusion, like, is there a way to get a form that would pass muster, or is it just nothing?
Well, they strongly recommend you do not allow this, but they said if you choose to continue going down that road, put a form together, have your attorney look at it, and send it to them.
Could we do some investigating with some other school districts that might have activities buses that they rent out in the summer?
There's over 100 school districts are with this insurance company, and
None of them?
none that are in
Okay,
our pool are.
okay.
So I mean, those would be the schools I'd be calling first because they're on. But
Same insurance?
I already know them. I know that answer because we're the only ones who have asked about using a bus rental agreement. Now, maybe they use one and the insurance company does not know they have one.
Okay.
That's probably the case, but they're like, they just strongly recommend against. And you've seen some of the reasons why. I just need to know if that's something we want to continue allowing, and if so, we got to put a form together and take the next steps.
I know the rec commission doesn't have any say, but have you talked to Chris or anybody?
No, because I usually like for you guys to be the first to know. Because if I'd have talked to anybody, I didn't even talk to them, then you'd be the last to know. So.
Right.
Not specifically you, but if you talk to too many people, you'd be the last to know.
I mean, I think if we're giving a year's notice and saying agreements that are currently signed and in place for the summer will uphold, but having discussions about having to come up with alternatives because due to insurance.
Right.
They've probably got the summers. I don't think we probably have activities scheduled beyond that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Probably committed for, I mean, you could back out of it, but you're probably committed for June and July anyway.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to leave them without the opportunity to do what they already have scheduled.
Ooh, June's already hard enough. Oh.
So what's everybody's thoughts? Do we need more information on anything?
I'm kind of with Sarah, like at least opening a conversation with the rec commission and let them know that this is what insurance is coming down and saying and starting a dialogue. But assuring them that they've activities already with an agreement in place will honor. I don't know if the city of Hoisington for GPS or for some of the local stuff out at Fourth, their public transportation would be game to help
Right.
with some of the in-town things. But that may exceed the number of kids that bus can hold. So I'd at least start the conversation with our renting people who are regular renters.
And you want to revisit it next month and make a decision what you want to do?
Yeah.
I think so. That's kind of the boat I'm in, at least. I mean, we have the information and makes sense where we're at. So I think probably having that conversation next time is where I'd like to see it.
All right. Next is cell phone policy.
Okay. Well, I feel like we've talked about this a little bit already. Reoccurring topic. But so the principals and I met week and a half ago probably, and kind of came up with our own policy. And then I sent that off to KSB because that's kind of the recommendation was have them look at it. And at that which time they made me aware that they actually already have a policy put in place that they would approve or would tell us that we could use. It does not specifically discuss storage methods in it. It's just basically a policy that indicates that you're going to follow the law, which means cell phones are going to be, they're supposed to be turned off and not available to students. Which I would see no reason why we wouldn't approve that policy. Then they recommend that you just place in your handbooks your storage methods. That's the part of discussion in my opinion, because they would still tell you, in their opinion, even though there's a governor's letter that indicates in lockers would meet the definition of the law, they would tell you they do not believe it does. So it's really a matter of discussing what's our storage method going to look like. You don't necessarily have to take any action tonight. And in fact, I think we assumed it would be a conversation tonight and maybe act on something in July.
I say we do specifically have a locker in the policy still. We still do have in a locker in the policy.
The one we wrote?
Yep.
That's correct, because we wrote that and sent it to KSB and they said, no, you probably shouldn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my main one that I see on there. It's kind of like glaring at me. I'm like, yeah, that
locker?
one. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And I sent that governor's letter to you guys for you to look at, and it specifically said it would.
Yep, I read that through.
Because we're like, well, that's going to make this easy.
Yeah, exactly. That helps a ton because I saw that. I was like, yeah, that one was give me the most probably thought around it. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, the one thing that didn't, okay, hold on. So our off-campus school activities and field trips, but we don't have on-campus school activities. I know we talked about that was a sticking
Because
point.
they're
Did
on
that get
school
clear?
premises.
Okay, so we need to
our
add
kids
language
that
in
attract
here.
meat on our premises would still be bound to the law.
We might need to add a paragraph about that or something, because that doesn't immediately jump out as clear in this policy.
Okay, you looking at theirs or ours?
Yours, like ours, USD 431.
Okay, I would probably recommend we use KSBs because we adopt all of their policies. It's just our storage method will be what we would.
Okay, so all the other wording would be the same, or we followed that. We would just,
Right, we would follow KSB.
with the exception of the
How we're gonna
storage.
store.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
that
so
would
the
be up.
JCDC one is the one you're saying we should adopt?
Yes, that is
Okay.
KSB.
Okay,
I would say that's probably the one you want to adopt. The real conversation is going to stem around the storage method.
So do you guys have any suggestions on how you want them stored?
I don't want to have a designated area in the building, because I don't want to be responsible for a secretary, any other school personnel responsible for them. You know,
Right.
and kids leaving for events or other times throughout the day for appointments, whatever, you always have to get into them. So I guess if they're not supposed to be in the building, it shouldn't be in the building.
Are you good with lockers though? Or,
If it's, when we saw that governor's vote, I was kind of excited because like Mr. Horn said,
Yeah.
it's easy. Honestly, if it's turned off and if it's out of sight, out of mind, they're not on during the school day. I don't care if it's in their locker or their car, right? And if we see them at their locker on it, we'll take it from them. Then we'll follow policy on the consequences for it. So I would personally have no problems with it being shut off in their locker. And I go, that's still accessible to the kids. But the main thing is they're not on it. They can't have it during the class time in the classroom. You know, I mean, if they get caught on it during a passing period, we'll just take it, you know, but I would personally have no problems with it being shut off in their locker.
okay.
I know that's not a recommendation from KSB, but
It's not, and I would tell you, I mean, it was up to me, I would adopt KSB's policy and use the governor's guidelines for storage.
That's
yeah,
kind of.
I'd be in favor of that.
I'm with Joel. I don't want to take on the liability of having their phone.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that was the big thing when I was in Oklahoma is they passed a similar law, and I don't know what they did with storage, obviously, because I left. But I don't want the liability of 160 kids' cell phones.
You guys
Right.
have plenty of things.
Yeah.
going
Yeah, it's a lot of
on.
just
It's
team tech
ridiculous.
management.
We have to hire a whole other person just to
Yeah,
check
just,
them in.
just to manage that would be.
I know schools that are buying cards, like you said, those cards for the, laptops,
Right.
and lock them in there. I have no desire to do that.
so since we just talked about handbooks, and if we're talking about the KSB one, there are no administrative procedures, hits, disciplinary actions, so that would be something that we would have to come up with.
Most of them already have that in
Yeah, we already have
their
it.
manual.
For cell phone use?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so you would just adopt the same,
We'll just keep it as is.
Yeah.
you
Just
could ask it,
follow
and
the-
it would be something, I don't know how you guys probably don't, do you have cell phone use?
Hardly any.
Would you guys will need to expand the language on it though, because it's cell phone watches and wireless ear headphones, so.
We do have a
That's-
policy, but we don't hardly have any use.
Ours actually says electronic device and in parentheses, cell phones. So I mean, I guess
I have to expand it to just match the letter.
Yeah.
I'm just because the statute has it explicitly laid out, that's why I'm sorry the headphones are a sticking thing for me, but I have kids that switch to using wireless headphones and I don't know, George switched because the cans didn't fit well on his head, but so.
I mean, we'd have to switch it for the headphones and the smartwatches.
Yes,
To add that in there.
It's anything Bluetooth capable.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I know you guys don't have that issue very much, but what are you thinking for your plan if somebody does have a cell phone in Lincoln or? Oh,
well, my kids will be at Lincoln and will have smartwatches, so they're because they're on the bus, so I can say there will be students that have a device.
Our policy would stay the same, it's still off in backpacks. And then if they have them, we confiscate them the first time, the parents have to come pick them up. And then it's more consequences after that.
Was yours the same? Okay. All right, any other questions?
So we'll come back in July and
Yeah.
this for the, I think, 14th.
Yeah, we will have to address because it says students may or shall not, in brackets, use personal electronic communication devices during school-sponsored activities, programs, or events occurring before and after the regular school day. It doesn't say during the school day, so if we have to clarify that point, they don't have language in there for on-campus activities happening during the school day, which I know was an exception.
Yeah, we would choose the may in there, and if I got to send it back to them and have them clarify that. But they have specifically said on school property. It said, the law says on school premises, so you can't have it on school premises. And it doesn't matter if you're in the classroom or outside running the track meet, on school premises.
I think having some language stating that explicitly would be helpful in our policy.
Okay.
I think sometimes less is more. I don't know that I'd state it, but.
Anybody else? I mean, wouldn't be hard to add that, but the law, it does probably say on school premises in there somewhere. Maybe it doesn't.
Well, but to me as a parent, the whole track meet situation that you've talked about isn't intuitive from reading this very legal language. So.
Not if they have an event at home.
Yeah.
I would recommend it just be a note that Mr. Fletchall and Mr. Axton, during their parent meeting for athletics, they stated specifically.
That's a good approach.
Because volleyball getting out early, basketball, wrestling, track, whatever event it is, then athletics is specifically stating if it is an on-campus activity, you cannot have it until 3:15.
So I have a question then, because on this policy, so middle school track meet, as we know, goes from the middle school to the high school for the track meet. Where are they allowed to store their device?
In the track bag.
It did, because it's not in a locker then. It's not in a bag in a locker, and it's not in a classroom.
I would recommend in the area under the bleachers where the coaches have a key to.
Okay.
And lock it up. That would be my recommendation.
And their locker really is becoming that track bag. I mean,
right.
They've also said in their guidance, nobody is policing this and coming out. So I mean, yeah, if we say locker or their backpack, if it's kept with a homeroom teacher, well, if they go over there, well, and they take their phone with them, yes, but they're gonna still take it with them, but they can't be on it. But to me, my interpretation would be that bag became their locker at that point.
I would agree.
But I'm also not going to be running around checking kids for something.
Right.
Especially when all the other kids there from other schools are going to have theirs on.
I know, this is all hypothetical. I understand the enforcement of this is,
an oversight that if they would have asked schools for some guidance, we'd have been like, well, what about this? Because they clearly didn't think about that. Or they'd have been like, well, yeah, every other kid's going to have a cell phone. Why shouldn't they?
I think the more difficult we make the policy, the more you guys are going to have to police it. Versus if we leave it pretty vague like KSB, then they're not going to be out here, like you said, policing it, and then you guys aren't going to have to police it unless you see a kid with their phone.
Right, because you could easily say, it's not in the policies.
Right.
Just play dumb or,
I like the idea of doing it in a coach's briefing, in athletic briefings. So, and I apologize, I'm too much of the letter looking at somebody who would be looking for an exception within the policy, so.
And I agree, but I also think people are going to look that other way. Well, it's in your policy that. So. All right. Any other questions on the cell phone policy? You'll have a draft for us to approve in July?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Social media policy?
Okay, so that's the second one that you guys have to address. So the principals and I met to discuss that as well. Specifically what they're trying to get at is that there's no one-way communication between coaches, teachers, sponsors, whatever the case may be, with students that is not monitored by the school. So if it's something that's monitored by the school, then it's allowable. So our interpretation of the guidance that they sent out is like, take Google Classroom. We still have that. There should be no reason that can't be used because Carrie's got it. We can monitor that. So that shouldn't be an issue. A lot of teachers use that. The elementary level Class Dojo is the same way. And Carrie has set up an account for us, right, Carrie, where that is also managed by the school. So those are the two big ones. And then, of course, school email, that's not going to be an issue either because that's also monitored. But it's the messaging between sponsors, clubs, coaches, that's really what's up for a discussion. And the principals and I, in our conversation, Nick pointed out a program called the Bound program. So Carissa, I believe, sent out to you guys, or I sent out a video link in Friday Notes for you guys to look at something. Yep. Carissa was going to just take just a short minute to talk a little bit about Class Dojo and what they utilize it for. And then we're going to have Nick talk to us a little bit about the Bound program and the opportunities to be able to utilize that as well.
Perfect.
We use Class Dojo for probably the past 4 or 5 years. It's really helped support our parent communication. It's like you can instant message a parent. You can set quiet hours so parents can't contact teachers at night. Kind of helps them with the work-life balance. They still do sometimes, but it's very comparable to Facebook. We can post on our school story or our individual classroom story. We can do group messages to a group of parents or all the parents. And it's been a great way for us to communicate back and forth. On average, my teachers send 170 messages per week. That's 14 messages a teacher per week. That's pretty impressive. They have a 45-minute planning period. In no way could they communicate that much in that amount of time without this app. Our highest week was 345 messages, which is 29 messages per teacher in 1 week. So really helping us make that connection with our parents. We also use it as positive reinforcement. We average about 98% positive points on Class Dojo. Really good incentive for our students to work towards. They earn little points and they have a little monster and they can dress it up and change it and they play this little virtual world that's all monitored by us. It's very useful. You guys, some of you have used it. Do you have any comments on it? Or?
We liked it.
Yep, it's a great experience.
It functions fine. Every once in a while it pushes the paid version, which is a little annoying, but that's, a free software is always going to do that. But communications with teachers have been flawless.
You've had it a while because my girls. We had it when my girls were there. Yeah, so yeah, I liked it.
It's going by fast. I really like you can reach out to any teacher in the school or myself as well, which is kind of nice. So like even our secretaries can message about your books and stuff like that and can be reached. So I also have a translator tool, so some of our parents use that as well.
You guys use the same thing, Shelby?
We do. We don't use it to the extent that they use it.
Right.
We like just very basic things. We used Remind 101 for a long time, and then it just started really glitching, and I think I heard that they were going to start getting rid of it, so we did switch to Class Dojo this year. I know teachers send out messages. That's probably their main tool of communication with parents, I would say. The easiest tool. They also send parents different things. I like with yearbooks or announcements, I just send them something that they send to the parents, or I also send something out over Thrillshare. So.
And before I have Nick go, one clarifying point there. So communication with parents, my understanding, that's not part of this. This is communication with students. So if a teacher texts a parent, that's not part of the law. They're trying to stop that adult to minor communication. And then before Nick starts talking about Bound, Carrie and I, 3-4 months ago, started having conversations and discussions and even looked at a program that would trying to see if there's a possibility of transitioning everybody in the district to using the exact same app, so we don't have 7 different apps out there that different coaches are going to use, and I don't know what they all are. Nick and Joel can probably tell you what some of those are. And we did look at one that Thrillshare offered, or App2G. And, but it was pretty pricey. So at that time, we just kind of backed away from it. But it is a conversation he and I have already been having about, is there a possibility to get us to that point, just to streamline the process more for parents? And this law is kind of pushing us in that direction anyway, or giving us certainly an opportunity to look at other alternatives. And that's where Nick's going to talk about Bound.
Okay, so Bound is our athletics program that we are using for scheduling moving forward as an entire league, and probably more than a third of the state, actually. It has several different nuances to it, but one of the best pieces is the messaging piece. On it, you will get every one of your school's sports, activities, and programs. You can also have them set up classes. So, for example, for the middle school, it could have a 6th grade class, 7th grade class, and 8th grade class. And you would be able to send a message to specific classes, to groups within that class, or to parents. It would not allow students to communicate back to the coach or the teacher, sponsor, whatever the title is, which then helps it meet that law. It's already being paid for currently by the schools because of the fact we're using it for our contracting, scheduling, digital ticketing that we're going to start next year. Everything is going to go through it. All of our coaches have already been added on, or at least have been invited to join, and it will make it so that way all the parent has to do is register their family, and then they can register their kids for different activities, different groups. It can actually help us so that way you don't have to hand in the paper copies of paperwork like your physical concussion form. Instead, you take a picture and upload it into required documents. I'll tell you, USD 259 is going to be my example. I sent a video to Mr. Horn and several other administrators last week. They required it this year, because this year was year 1 for them. They required all documentation to be done on Bound prior to their first practice. So they have it all digital rather than having to have those hard copies in hand prior to first practice, which, having been in the athletic office, and I'm sure Joel can also attest to how many get brought in the first day of practice rather than a week before. So having it so the parents can upload those, and all we have to do on the backside is click approve and check it, makes it a lot easier. But again, I've already started setting myself up as a family so I could check out how easy it was. It took me less than 2 minutes. The app is right there in the store. It's just titled Bound. It looks like a bee, but made out of lions. And we'd be able to post it just like we had done our Cardinal app that sadly too many people did never get. But it will have our schedules on top of that. It will have, you can have it import your stats for max preps like what football does. It can hook to their huddle. Everything can be linked into Bound.
Who is the administrator for that?
So for the middle school right now, it's me, but I have already set up Kyle Axton as the activities director. Catherine is set up as a principal. Mr. Horn I did set up as the superintendent. I'm sure Craig did the same on his side. And then I had Carrie as our IT director on it. So he has absolute all access to everything. And that's the other positive to Bound. Whoever sets each person up gets to choose what permissions that person has. Okay. So for example, for coaches, I found like 5 things that I really want them to have access to, including eligibility, an injury report, and a couple other small items, but communication was the top of my list.
Okay. Because, all right, so if coaches were to use this, mm-hmm. So they could have it go to the athletes and the parents. Okay.
But the athletes will not be able to text or message back.
Correct.
Can the parents message back?
That I'm not 100% sure on. That's a newer piece for this next year.
It's funny though, because it seems like at least in high school, you want the kids to start, having more responsibility, accountability. So, I mean, there are coaches who don't want to hear from the parents. Mm-hmm. They only want to communicate with the kids.
That's where I will recommend their email is still available. And they can send an email to communicate, which does not break the law.
what if you're,
That's what I was gonna say.
what if you're not employee of the district?
Yeah,
Can you-
Circle 10 coach.
They can still have.
They have
you know,
an-
they
they have
all have
Because he
emails.
just does one.
Has a USD. Okay,
And
perfect.
they probably use it.
That would be something in briefings if you can't.
We changed that a couple years ago so that everybody had the same name.
And students are able to set up their school email on their personal device?
Yes.
Perfect. How does that sit with you guys thinking about your coaches?
I think the biggest key is if there's an app where they get notifications that, hey, coach sent a message, you know, if practice is delayed or whatever. If they get a notification on that app so they can see it right away. You know, it's things like that. Communication between coaches and kids on last minute changes.
I personally love the fact that it's one app. Right now, I can open my phone and I have 4 apps for 4 different programs that my daughter is a part of. That's just my middle school daughter. So then if I throw in my high school one, I'll have 2 more.
Them not being able to message back, I see that as probably the one inconvenience that, okay, you're gonna have to use your email. So like if a kid's running late or something, I mean, there's ways to get around it. They can always text a friend and say, tell coach I'm on my way, but they can't text. They're not supposed to text the coach and the coach is not supposed to text them.
Now, am I wrong? If the kid was able to respond back that the whole group sees it, right?
Well, if it's monitored by us, yes, but I don't think from what Nick's describing, it has that capability, does it?
I would have to look more into it, to be completely honest. I don't believe they can.
But my understanding is if it's monitored by the district,
yes,
Then we could turn it on and then
Which
it's
again,
qualified.
Kerry can monitor everything on it because he's been set up as the IT director.
Which would then make it similar to Dojo, so,
It
okay.
becomes a managed piece.
Correct.
would you be able to check on that for me?
Yeah, I can call Patty tomorrow.
Okay.
Perfect.
I like it.
And I think you said we already paid for it, so.
Yeah,
We did.
even better.
And there's no, it's not an enterprise like add-on package, it's all
We
included.
did everything because of the fact Craig and I decided to do the digital ticketing with them. Everything is 100% covered because the middle school and high school do digital ticketing for them.
Sounds good. Any other questions? All right, we'll go on to the Lincoln Elementary School math curriculum.
So, I believe last year they did a 1-year renewal, is that right? The two of you probably know that 1-year renewal and gave them some more time to thoroughly vet what programs they would like to utilize or the curriculum. And Joel got me the estimates for that. I believe the iReady curriculum is the one they would have been using already, correct? And they would like to stay with that. I wrote some additional information there for you that it can be. That particular one is on the state at-risk approved list. So if I wanted, even though we've already got a use for all of that, I could take it out of there. But that is the one they would prefer because that's what they've been using. You two have any other input or?
We really like it.
So this is for a 6-year. Carissa and I, a 6-year license, Carissa and I did talk about, you know, the state was talking a little bit about limitations on devices. That didn't get through committee, but could that come back? Maybe. What happens if it does? And we just talked about, would they still be able to utilize this? Is there a reason for us to only buy 1 or 2 years? But she really felt like even if there was a limitation, the teachers would still be able to use it. The consumable books we would still get for the kids. She really didn't see why we wouldn't go ahead and get it for the 6 years because while the total cost is more, the cost per year comes down significantly the more years you add to it. So.
So here's my, do we have all of our student information privacy through that app on lockdown? I know that iReady is under lawsuit right now. So.
Sorry, yeah, they are.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, are no concerns on student privacy concerns or anything, considering the companies?
We are going, I mean, kind of a different route. We will use kind of what we have, but we also have some other things that we're going to use. So we're not strictly using iReady or Roosevelt.
The students use it much online. I know they use the consumables a lot, but
They have their iReady path that they do online, and that's the part we would have to cut if there was a limit to screen time. But other than that, the teacher puts up the version online on their screen, and the teachers work through their consumables with them. And I was unaware about a lawsuit.
It's not been fine. It's still it's litigated, so it hasn't had an outcome. But that was my only concern with the 6 year, is that if there was some outcome to the litigation that the company's currently under.
yeah, I was not aware of that.
Sorry, it popped up on I must have been looking at my dojo and talking about testing, and then my Facebook feed came up.
Could you send me that information, please?
Yeah, it's in the state of Florida, so it's out of the state of Kansas. But if it's still on the state's recommended program list, then
it is.
Well, then I think we're covered there.
All right, any other questions?
Nope.
All right, I move to approve the iReady math curriculum from Curriculum Associates in the amount of $50,000, $279.74.
Second.
All in favor? Passes 7-0. All right, Hoisington Middle School math curriculum.
They were in the same boat, needing curriculum as well. Catherine and her committee worked through that process, the math committee, and they actually like a different program. I think it's Big Ideas Learning, Big Ideas Math. I believe, is that what you've been using as well? Is that what they use?
No, this is new. It's something that was based off what the high school's been using.
Okay.
And it's more paper pencil based, so not on the computer, which all of my teachers are really excited for, to go back to that. There's also more, one of the things that they were running into is an over-reliance of word problems and kids not getting that repetition of the math problems. This has a healthier balance between math, like just regular math problems working through the formulas and the word problems for real-world applications. Overall, they're all really excited for this, and it does have an advanced version as well, so we can introduce 7th grade advanced math, so that the 8th graders, this year's 7th graders who take advanced math can then just take Algebra 1 next year, instead of having to take Math 8 and Algebra 1.
Yay.
So it still hit all the standards required by the state.
And there's a digital component for the teachers though?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a 6-year license as well.
Yeah.
It's not the exact same curriculum the high school uses. The one we're using doesn't go down to middle school, but the teachers try to tie together really well.
Yeah, they did a lot of work looking at the two, making sure that they're aligned from 6th all the way up, so the kids will be prepared to go into the high school curriculum and again go back on paper and pencil.
Awesome. Any questions? All right, I move to approve the Big Ideas math curriculum in the amount of $30,423.75.
Second.
All in favor? Passes 7-0. All right, social emotional curriculum.
So that quote is for the 7 mindset social emotional curriculum. Lincoln Elementary and the high school would like to continue to use that at least for one more year. This is a 1-year license. And then at that point, I think they may look at other options. They may still come back to that, but the middle school and Roosevelt are already currently doing something different than this.
Okay. Any
Not
questions?
under investigation that we know of.
That one didn't pop up.
All right. I move to approve the 7 mindsets social emotional curriculum in the amount of $10,000.
Second motion.
All in favor? 7-0. KASB workers' compensation renewal.
You guys are probably already familiar with this. We have this every year and have to have it every year pretty much. I mean, we wouldn't necessarily have to go through KSB, but we always have and typically do. And that amount varies from year to year based on just usage. But we would ask that you guys approve that.
Any questions? All right. I move to approve the KASB workers' compensation policy in the amount of $18,640.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. All right. We'll go into reports. Superintendent report.
Okay, so tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about special education, our co-op, and our funding, and I have some information I'll go through, but for those of you who don't know Ashley Riley, I brought in the big guns of our special education so that when I can't answer a question, hopefully she can. So most of you know we're in a co-op. It's Barton County Special Services. There's ourselves, Ellenwood, Otis Bison, and Great Bend. And the offices are housed over in Great Bend. When we have our meetings, that's usually where we're at. To give you a little bit of an idea in terms of like what special education costs for us, our state flow through funds that come from the state, and then we just immediately pass them on to special education office. Is around $740 this year, $740,000. We'll get our final assessment or our final flow through money to send here shortly. And then our local assessments is what we have to pay to make up the difference for what we are going to need for our special education to provide those services within our district. And this year that was $593,687. So a little over 1.3, between 1.3 and 1.4 million is what special education costs. Like everything with education, it's expensive. It is. But Ashley provided us at one of our directors' meetings a month or a couple months ago, probably, some information that did a comparison of the co-ops around the state. There were 24 of them in there. And of those 24, our assessment cost or our cost per student, we're the 6th lowest across the state. Only 5 schools are assessed lower. 18 of those co-ops assess more than we do. So while special education is expensive, there's a lot of value we get out of it, but we aren't the highest price in the state, not even close in reality. So a few more points to go through. Any questions on the flow through the assessments? Anything I missed, Ashley? No. All right. Okay. So next, one of the things I know you guys are somewhat aware of that we've talked about briefly, not to this extent, is the statutory requirement by Kansas on what they're supposed to be providing to Kansas schools is 92% excess cost, which excess cost, I give you a little information there. It's not exactly every dollar that special education costs, but it's the cost of providing special education services beyond what it would cost to educate the same student in a regular education setting. It's not the total cost. You guys all know that they have not been funding us at 92% excess cost. And this year it was 70 at most, probably a little less. And based on the $6 million that the state budget allocated for next year, the state told me when I asked them what the excess cost will be, it'll be about 65.2%, I believe. Unfortunately, when you talk to some people at the state, they'll tell you, well, part of the reason they're not providing at the 92% excess cost is because the federal government doesn't provide what they're supposed to be providing to them. So I guess they passed that on down to us where we still have to provide services. We don't get the opportunity to cut costs by not doing it. We still have to provide those services. So unfortunately, how does that get made up? We pay it out of our general fund. And this year alone, it was in excess of $200,000 is what we had to make up because of the not getting funded at the 92% excess cost. Any questions? Ashley, what did I miss?
No, I mean,
special education, while in essence it can sometimes sound simple, it's really not. There are a lot of factors that go into it. I could probably give you a whole few hour presentation on it that you don't want to hear, but there are 4 main categories. So the Department of Education has has a pool of special education money. It's called categorical aid. There's transportation, there's catastrophic aid, there's Medicaid, and then there's special teacher reimbursement. So whereas a district is funded based on the number of students that you have, the state figures special education funding by the number of special education staff that we have. So I don't know if you guys ever hear about the state determining what that FTE amount is going to be. They always give us an estimate of that at the beginning of the year, and then here recently we got a final estimate of that, which was actually lower than what they estimated that to be at the beginning of the year. And over the last 2 years, that amount has gone down by almost $2,400. And so then unfortunately that does get passed on to the districts, but being a part of the cooperative, you're at least sharing that with other districts within there as well. And so the first amount to come out of that categorical aid is catastrophic aid. And so that would be for an exceptionally expensive program. And I think it has to be 2.5 times the amount of a teacher's salary that it would cost to house or to have. Then there's then there's Medicaid, and that is always $9 million. And then there's transportation. And you guys see the gas prices and things like that go up. And so when that amount goes up too, the last piece that comes out, which we are funded off of, is that special teacher reimbursement, which just consistently has gone down and gone down and gone down. And we try to mitigate those costs with the amount of staff that we have versus the needs of students that we have. And the needs of students are constantly changing. And so we try to meet those as best we can and work together with everybody. And so I'm always open for questions or conversations if you ever want to dive deeper into what all that means, but I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening.
So a couple of final points. I know I've pointed out to you guys that if any of you know our representative or our senators, please reach out. I have already done so. It was quite a while ago during our legislative sessions, of course, and Senator Blue, she did respond, and she said she was going to vote no for the state budget bill, and she did, and I don't know what reason she voted no, but she indicated she wasn't going to vote yes for that, and so she voted no and did indicate that funding for special education was not where it needed to be. And Representative Brantley, she did not respond to my email, and I know she did vote yes for the budget bill. So anybody who has access to those people, they hear from superintendents all the time. They need to hear from other people as well. Because unfortunately, as our general fund continues to have to make up the difference, that's just other programs and things that we can't pay for.
Do you have an estimate of what our going from that 70 to 62.5% what that cost increase is going to be next year, or projected cost?
I do not. Maybe
we have a meeting in a few weeks to determine what that's going to be. So I would rather discuss that with all superintendents. I don't want other boards to be the last to know.
Right.
And we do always decide that each year together.
And that's what our assessment will be. Right. But I think you're asking what them not cover. Are you asking from that going down to 65.2 from 70, what that difference will be?
Yeah, with that.
Well, I'll be honest, the general information I could find, 200,000 was a little conservative. I didn't want to overestimate. So you can certainly assume it's going to be well above that.
How many students in 431 are currently receiving special services?
So, that's a great question. So I know within our entire cooperative, there's about 870 students. I can look it up here if you give me just a moment, because I do have it on here, but I don't want to tell you incorrectly.
And is that K through 12, or does that include preschool and TK?
It would include preschool as well.
Perfect.
So in USD 431 for the current school year, there are 145.
And are you seeing those trends go up, stay steady?
So, and I have a chart that has the last 5 years trend data. And so it's stayed consistent the last 3 years. So this year it was 145 and then 146 and then 149, so it has dropped a little bit. But we also pulled that information from what we have is called a December 1 report, and those numbers can fluctuate throughout the school year depending on the number of students who come and go, but then also the students that we evaluate throughout the school year. So that's just the one date that we use consistently to be able to pull that from.
Perfect. And with the declining support from the state legislature, are there services of that you're like we're statutorily required, but are there additional resources that you're having to trim down on as far as like still statutorily providing services, but you'd really like to also do this that you've had to cut?
We always try to think creatively because we're legally obligated to meet those services, and so it's not a matter of being able to say we don't have the staff or we don't have the resources. Sometimes there are real conversations because, as you guys know, just filling positions can be difficult, and so that creates some of that outside the box thinking. We also have to think of what that continuum of supports looks like. You know, for a student who may have behavioral, social, emotional, and academic needs, we look at do we have a student who maybe only needs math and reading support, but they're receiving the same amount of services. So we want to make sure that we're not just blanketly giving services out, but that we are individualizing it to what that student needs. And sometimes that comes with creative conversations because there's a lot of input and opinion that goes into that, along with the data that we collect for the evaluations that are done. And so it really is a team approach that we try to take.
Awesome. Anything else? I just wanted to say thank you to Miss Jody. I know she just recently retired as a parent who had, and I didn't know if you wanted to comment on the service sharing with Claire Barton in the interim, or
I can if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a thank you to her.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Jody Romizer is one of our longtime speech language pathologists for the Special Services Co-op, and I think she's been here in Hoisington for a little over 20 years providing speech language services. Prior to that, I believe she was over in the Otis Bison School District. She said she was riding her mower one weekend and thought, you know what, I think it's just time. And we are certainly eternally grateful for her and all the services that she's provided and the support that she's given to our districts. And that is, when we talk about being able to fill positions, trying to find a speech language pathologist is a difficult area to fill. So one of my coordinators and I, we went and we met with several online virtual companies because, again, we have to provide that service. We can't say, well, we don't have an SLP, we're not sure what to do. But our coordinator also has a connection to Clara Barton here in town, and so we've met with them, and we are not officially in a contract yet, but that is the direction that we're looking on going, is being able to contract with Clara Barton here in town to provide on-site services, because we certainly see the value in working with staff who are local, but also the cost, and then being able to provide those services on-site to students rather than virtually through someone, through teletherapy over the computer. So that's one of those outside the box things that we have to try to work through. And so communicating and having those conversations, it's certainly scary at first, but it's really cool when it all comes and works out to benefit students in the end, because that's what we're here for.
Well, thank you for thinking creatively, and thank you also to Claire Barton for being open to.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that all you had?
That's all I had.
All right. Principals report, Joel?
I just wanted to inform you guys of a new class that we're wanting to put into our curriculum next year. It's called Reps class. So basically, this curriculum is endorsed heavily by the National Federation of High School Athletics and also CASHA. As you have probably heard, there's a big shortage of officials right now. A lot of the officials are long tenured and looking to get out, and there's just not enough younger kids coming in to replace them. So this Reps class, basically it's an online curriculum where kids could get actually certified to officiate specific activities. So basically each class, each sport, you could tailor to where it takes about 6 weeks to get through. So what we're looking at doing is making it a semester-long elective class, and each kid would have to go through 3 activities, and that would go to essentially the 18-week semester. So the positives about this, number one, kids can, get certified. They go out and start earning money right away. Some schools and some of our league actually use high school kids to officiate middle school games that have gone through this program. A lot of the kids that we get for sub-varsity and Nick probably gets for middle school are actually Fort Hays students that are going through the officiating program there at college. And that's a really good way for kids to make extra money in college because all that work time is, during the evenings, and it's actually pretty good pay per hour. So this would give our kids an opportunity to make money. It'd give our kids the opportunity to make money when they're off to college, but also could lead to a lifelong second job for these kids going into, when they start getting their full-time jobs, doing this on the side. And then, of course, CASER really supports it to help with the shortage of officials. So just letting you know that we plan to put that in the curriculum, and hopefully we have some interest in it. So.
Is there a piece in that or that might have a practicum, like they would sign up
Yes.
to? Okay.
Yeah, they have to go out. Yeah, so I mean there's videos given. They have to take like the rules test with the online curriculum. They have to go out and actually watch activities and take notes on stuff, and then also do a practicum with it as well. So possibly these kids could go and help officiate rec league games. They can be on the sidelines and shadow, and watch varsity games. So yeah, there's a practicum to it outside the classroom.
Perfect.
Yep.
We started this a year ago at Stanton County and utilized the practicum piece. I mean, because they can design it however they want, but each of the kids had to go out and they had to become a third member of a junior high or a middle school, let's just say basketball officiating crew. And that was part of their practicum. They got to work with some officials that are already experienced, and then I hired them to come out and do scrimmages for me. The thing there was we had quite a bit of interest. I think they ended up getting like 20 kids in it the first year. And I remember walking in and they're like, this is harder than what I thought it was going to be. So it'll be a learning experience. I think they'll realize learning the rules of the game and the mechanics and everything. It's not as easy as it seems when you're the one who doesn't like the calls. So.
Yeah. So
I think it's good to understand the calls better and play the game.
Yeah, that's a good part of it as well. And I've been looking at ways to try to add it for a couple of years, and finally found a way to get it into our curriculum. And I think it's going to.
Who do you have teaching?
Zach.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
My youngest,
instead of the Spanish,
she wants to get into it for wrestling, so she.
There you go.
She's so she's never excited about.
Yes, right.
She is super excited about this.
Are you working with the rec center too to?
Yeah, we haven't opened that dialogue, but we can definitely do that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great. All wrestling always needs. They never have.
So I think
super excited.
What we talked about was doing football, volleyball, basketball in the fall, wrestling, softball, baseball in the spring semester. So it kind of ties into those semesters, and then they can go out and do their their shadowing, get their practicum done during season. So yeah, I think it'd be a good opportunity for the kids.
Yeah. I like it. Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will go into executive session for personnel. I move that we go into executive session for
probably going to start with at least 20 probably.
20 minutes pursuant to discussing non-elective personnel under the KOMA exception for the purpose of discussing nominations and resignations with Trent and any other administrator if needed. The open meeting will resume back at 8:28. 8:30. Perfect. Second. All in favor? Passes 7-0. Are you okay with?
Maybe for all of you, so you might better stick around. You need to go.
Do or die.
Okay. Okay, we are back out of executive session. After how many minutes?
100.
100 minutes?
I just have.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe it. All right. So I move to approve the following resignations. Kyle Haxton, middle school assistant football coach. Jacob Owen, head middle school track, assistant middle school girls basketball, and assistant middle school football. Mandy Mason, head middle school girls basketball. Trina Luters, first grade teacher and head middle school cross country. Tony Luters, industrial arts teacher, assistant high school volleyball, electric car assistant. high school girls basketball, and assistant high school track. Did I get them all?
That was a mouthful.
Second.
All in favor? Passes 7-0. All right, nominations. I move to approve the nomination of Hannah Kiesling as the Lincoln Robotics.
Second.
All in favor? Passes 7-0. I move to approve the nomination of Reagan Betts, middle school assistant volleyball.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. I move to approve Jeremy Bright, middle school assistant football.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. I move to approve Eric Crawford, middle school assistant football.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. I move to approve Marsha Williams as middle school head cross country.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. I move to approve Brooke Lewis as TK aide.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. I move to approve John Ross for summer weights.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. I move to approve Mandy Mason as assistant high school girls basketball.
Second.
All in favor? 5-2. You're up, Becky.
I move to adjourn.
I second. All in favor? 7-0.
That's all of us, baby. Let's go.